Hello and welcome to Titlow Beach Park here in Tacoma, Washington. This is Stina Troyer here. Hello, good afternoon. This is our first sampling Tuesday of 2021. So I just thought I would tune in from the beach. It's kind of a nice medium, it's our medium low tide right now. So I already went and collected our water sample here using the lovely boat hook. You can see this is, even in the rain, a popular park for people to come and play. For me, it's one of my favorite dive sites in the South Sound because I just think exploring around these pilings is just so cool. But we're going to do a little temperature taking as well as kind of look at some of this low tide that's exposed. So I have our thermometer currently reading for our air temperature, which I'm going to pop into, I have it on hold, degrees Fahrenheit, please. And we're going to just take a look at some of this natural clay that's exposed on this low tide. Again, it's not the most extreme low tide of the day. Those happen at night. And so you can tune in for some of our beach monitoring events coming up a little later in January. But for now, we're just kind of looking at what's here. This clay is a good clue, or at least indicator that further out here, there's a natural clay wall that's really fun to dive along as well. So here's some remnants of that. I'm noticing a lot of this rockweed or a brown algae. In the summer, these little tips get kind of inflated with goo. I like to think of them as the aloe vera of the sea. So this can also be called popweed. I'm noticing at the base there's some little snails. These are your checkered periwinkles. There's also some little brine flies crawling around. All that green is some nice, well, it looks like a mix of sea lettuce and Ulva intestinalis, which is kind of like a stringy green seaweed that's actually tubular, like your intestines, as that name would maybe, actually this might just be shredded lettuce. I don't know, sometimes hard to tell. And then there's kind of this wiry red. This is what I would call witch's hair. So right on this little surface, we have all three types of seaweed found in the Puget Sound, the red, green, and brown categories. Of course, you might say that not all, I guess, seaweed is kelp. There's kind of a funny umbrella of how you categorize this different seaweed. And then there's this brown scuzz that I'm also seeing, and love knowing that Lori, you grew up at this beach. This is, yeah, a great, wonderful beach here. And yeah, for those of you tuning in, let us know where you're tuning in from. And if you have any memories here at Titlow Beach Park. I'm noticing, yeah, this brown scuzz, it's kind of a diatom layer. Usually if you can kind of rub it with your finger and it scuzzes, that's a good clue that it's this tiny microscopic photosynthesizing organism, alive and well. Pretty cool. There's all these pilings, which are great for finding life on. I'm noticing another type of seaweed, this porphyra here. This is a red algae. It's kind of leafy. It's what's used in nori. So that's kind of fun to see. Again, a lot of these brine flies taking advantage of the low tide right now. Seeing some nice barnacles. Again, a nice way to tell if a barnacle's alive is that its little shell will be closed up. This one here is dead. It doesn't have anybody living inside, so it looks more like a volcano than a little mountain. And then when you see barnacles, it's also good to take a look and see, okay, what other creatures are living around or next to them. And again, here's some more of those checkered periwinkles. Tiny little snails that like the high intertidal zone. There's kind of this interesting little really short green algae I'm noticing. Not sure what that is. I'll have to look it up. Another cool creature you find a lot in the high intertidal zone are these limpets. These are those little cap-shelled snails that have a radula that's like a chainsaw, and they use that to scrape algae off of the substrate that they're on. So noticing quite a few here. And they're extra fancy today. They have kind of a little algae growing on their shell. Probably not a bad idea because it helps with some camouflage. They are a tasty snail for a lot of critters, so maybe that helps them blend in a little bit. Kind of fun to see. I also love this beach because we have the Tacoma Narrows Bridge in the background. And Howard, that's a great question. Where are all of these pilings from? I, off the top of my head, am blanking on the history here. I feel like it was either a ferry landing or some sort of wood port, but we'll have to do some history research to figure that out. We're also right next to the train tracks, so I hear a train coming. So hopefully that doesn't interfere with our sound quality too much. I am thankful that even though it's raining, it's not too windy out at the moment, so that should at least be in our favor. This is a great site for birds. As you can see, we have various gulls hanging out on the pilings, as well as in the distance, some double-crested cormorants. They're a really common seabird to see all year round. For Matthew, does algae do better in the summer or the winter? Algae gets its energy by photosynthesis. So in the summer, it thrives. It gets all that light to grow nice and big. I'm gonna pause and let this train go by. Hi, train. This park does have a nice little walking path along the train tracks all the way over to that kind of green, grassy area and into the forest. There's a nice little trail. This is a pretty popular spot for us to do kind of more high tide beach cleanups. We don't typically find a lot of trash on the beach itself, but rather on the places where people are. So in the forest and along the trail, we usually find cigarette butts and bottles and plastic and all that junk that we leave behind. So nice place to come and do little park and parking lot cleanups. But back to this nice algae question. As you can see, it's definitely around in the winter time, but at a more reduced capacity because again, it doesn't have all that sunlight to grow, especially for like this leafy green stuff. In the summertime, you'll just see huge mats of it covering the beaches as it survives and thrives. And so, yeah, you can see here's a bigger piece of sea lettuce here for us to look at. It's a algae that's only 2 cells thick, which is kind of nice. Okay, got my thermometer to start working. So our air temperature is in the 43.9 degrees Fahrenheit range. I'm now going to stick this in the water so we can get a water temperature. For our, again, Blue Water Task Force monitoring in partnership with the South Sound Surfrider crew. They host all the results on a lovely website that you're welcome to check out. I'll put that in the comments after this. And that's a monthly water quality testing at some of our local beaches where people like to recreate. So we know that people play in the Puget Sound year-round, and so we want to make sure there's no fecal coliform. And of course, it's more of just a moment in time, so we can't guarantee that it'll be free of fecal coliform, but kind of having a history of that record and being able to look at that gives us a good peek at how these beaches are doing. I'm kind of surprised to see, well, actually not that surprised, but the water is actually warmer than the air temperature. So we're at about 47.4. I'm gonna hold that so we can look at it. The Puget Sound it doesn't range in temperature. It usually kind of stays between 45 and 55 degrees year round, with 45 in the wintertime, 55 in the summer. So it's generally a cold body of water. So I don't know if anybody did any polar plunging to bring in the new year, but you were probably warmer in the water than you were in the air, which is just kind of wild to me. And again, for Matthew's comment about calling limpets, all limpets are not keyhole limpets, but there is a species of keyhole limpet. They're bigger species of limpet. They can grow, I don't know, like well over the size of a quarter, bigger than a 50-cent piece, maybe like 3 inches. And so that is just one of the many species of limpets that we might encounter. And because of that hard shell, they're able to protect that soft body when the tide goes out. And so that's kind of why we see that they're well adapted for this high tide environment, so they can stay out of the water for a little bit while the sun and the moon are doing their gravitational pulls and doing their thing. So yay, limpets. Here's another kind of fun algae. This is called Turkish towel. It's another species of red algae. And it's kind of got that bumpy, cool texture like your bath towel might have. I don't know if you can hear kind of my finger rubbing against those little papillations, but I like that in the sunlight sometimes this seaweed will kind of give off a blue shimmer. There's another species of algae called iridescent kelp, and it's a red algae that absolutely has that iridescent oil sheen, which is just so cool and fun to see. For this one, you can see it has its little tiny holdfast, and it's on this very tiny rock. So this is technically attached algae. It's just probably, it's up a little higher than we'd normally see it because it is secured to, secured to not a very big rock here. So, good luck, little algae. This is kind of a nice rock. We might, again, the tide's not super low, but we can flip some nice head-sized rocks to see if we can see any creatures. I'm noticing this high tide friend. This is an amphipod, kind of scuttling around. We can also call those beach hoppers, the potato bug of the sea, although isopods are a little more potato buggy than those amphipods. I'm going to put that rock back right where I found it. As we explore just a little bit more, at some point I'm going to need to get our water sample over to the Science and Math Institute. We have a cool partnership with that school to analyze our water samples for that fecal coliform, and they have all the fancy lab equipment to make that happen. So we're really glad for that partnership. Here's a little piece of a crab molt. I say molt because I don't smell anything gross, and the shell is empty. So my guess is that there's a bigger, better crab species or crab individual that left this old shell behind to grow a bigger shell for itself. I feel like I should be able to identify what this is based on the little carapace points. It's some type of shore crab. I'm guessing a green shore crab, but kind of hard to tell when you don't have the rest of the crab. I really rely on their legs and pinchers for my identification notes. But again, it's just kind of a rainy day here in the South Puget Sound. I have all the letters on the pilings a little scrambled, but they say Tacoma because we are on the Tacoma side of the Narrows Bridge. Look on over and wave to our Gig Harbor friends. Hi guys. And again, yeah, we're just out here collecting the first water sample of 2021. There's volunteers at about 9 other sites, from Fox Island Sandspit to Kopachuk State Park to Dash Point and Les Davis, all really, popular places that people like to play, getting tested for fecal coliform. So exciting to, you know, just start the new year with hopefully some clean water. And so if you want to go polar plunging, maybe you can use that map to figure out where you want to go. I'm going to maybe end on this fun find. The intertidal spoon. How about that? If anybody needs some silverware, let us know in the comments and we can mail you this nice spoon. Very good. Okay, we'll clean this up off the beach, right? We can do water quality and a little beach cleanup all at the same time. So, with that, thanks for tuning in on this kind of rainy, kind of delightful, lovely Tuesday. So, again, I'm Stina. Nice to bring you to the beach, and hope you all enjoyed this little peek at the Puget Sound as we collect our monthly water sample. We'll probably tune in again next month, so I don't know, it's kind of fun to compare month to month a site. And yeah, as always, you're welcome to share our Harbor Wild Watch videos. If you haven't checked out our Peer into the Night video yet, that was the first fun one of the new year where we actually took you on a dive at Les Davis Park. Again, another site that we test for fecal coliform with the help of the South Sound Surfrider team. So love those community science partnerships. Science and Math Institute, all really good things. So thanks again, and share this with your friends, or if you'd like to financially support Harbor Wild Watch, pop on over to our website for a secure donation. So we appreciate all of you and wish you a very happy new year. We're in the midst of planning lots of fun, exciting digital program for you as 2021 goes on. So stay tuned and see you around on the